I was thinking about this on the way in. I was like, we are sitting here making a YouTube video together.
I know.
We're collabing.
We're totally doing a collab.
Yeah.
My first collab in a long time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I was like, the thought that came to my mind was like, you don't come here often anymore. Meaning
know.
YouTube.
I know.
Well, how does it, like, what is your relationship to YouTube right now?
I feel like it's a loving relationship. It's not like an ex that you hate at all. But I have such a deep love for YouTube, but such a complex relationship with it. It's like, I love it so much, and I wish that our relationship clicked for me right now, but it doesn't. But I love to be here when I'm here. And it's very sweet, I would say.
Do you feel like when you're watching YouTube now, you're watching from an insider's perspective, or do you feel more so outside looking in these days?
Maybe I'm completely delusional, but it still feels like I'm in it.
Yeah.
I think once you are in it deep once, you're in it forever, in a way. You can never escape it. Like, it changed my brain.
Totally.
I will never see the platform the same, I don't think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was watching your Met Gala again video, and I was thinking about the different eras of your creative output on the platform. And after I watched that video, I went back and watched your first video that's on your channel, as well as your first video ever, which is on Bilibili, a Chinese version of YouTube. Do you know that?
Really?
Yeah.
Summer City Lookbook, whatever it's called,
God.
is on Bilibili. Someone re-uploaded it.
Oh my God, I hope it has 3 views. And
Slightly more than that.
It has more than that. It's more than that. You're big. You're really big in China.
Yes, that's amazing. Oh my God.
But it's just that one video. That's it.
just that one.
That's all they know you.
By the
Yeah.
way, that video is iconic.
Yeah.
I was trend
History.
setting.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. It was weird.
But I was thinking, like, from the first video to now, you did have this like unbelievable confidence to speak to a lens, and that stayed true throughout your different eras, right? Like, it's been such an interesting thing to witness you go through creative evolution, and like having us as people who have loved YouTube for a long time and watched you for a long time, watch you evolve. What evolution are you in right now? Like, where are we at in the Emma Chamberlain timeline?
I'm trying to pinpoint it myself, because I think what's happening is creatively, I'm due for a shift, but one bigger than I had ever experienced prior. Like, I'm really hungry for something really different. And I think that was somewhat clear with my last few videos that were a bit more, I don't know what word to use, artsy. Like,
Yeah.
they were a bit more cinematic, if you could even say that. Like, they were more about creating a feeling, I think, than anything. But then that didn't work for me long term, because that format didn't allow my personality to come out, and I felt like my personality wasn't coming out anymore. And so that was the most recent phase. That worked for a second. Now it's not working. Simultaneously, I'm an adult now, and my brain is so different. It is so different. It could not be more different. I feel like there's been 20 years between the beginning of my career and now. I don't remember my life before this. It feels like it's been hundreds of years almost. And not being sure what the next creatively fulfilling thing will be, combined with the uncertainty of who I am as an adult, there's a whole lot of question marks. To me, it's exciting. Like, I'm not worried about it, but what I've figured out is that I cannot rush it. You know, this industry is like obsessed with speed. It's about speed. Mm-hmm. It's about being present. It's about being visible. And I need to pull back in a way that everyone will look and be like, well, she's quitting. And I have to be okay with that. I know that I can't be a vlogger forever. I just can't. And I don't want to do that. And I think in order to figure out what the next thing is, I have to give myself that time to figure it out.
Sometimes I think it's funny that, even what you mentioned around like people take it as you quit. Like you are extremely present right now. You are in video form on Spotify once a week at a minimum.
Yeah.
Right?
It's twice a week.
Twice a week.
I'm committed to 2 a week.
You have the interviews and you have your solo show. You are very present on Instagram or at like fashion events.
Yeah.
Like, you are a very present person.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that it feels like you're not as present. And it might just be that vlogging and YouTube had a different, it holds a different space on the internet.
Yes.
There's something too about like clicking on a video of yours and you're looking at us in the face, right?
That's true.
It's like,
Yes.
which is like from almost another era ago, actually, when you were doing that really consistently. But yeah, that feeling when as a viewer is like, oh, she's here.
Yeah.
And as very YouTube native people too, we're like, okay, she's here.
My initial group of followers, the people who have been following me since day one, are used to interacting with me in a very particular way. And that is not happening anymore. So it makes complete sense that they're like, where are you? Because I'm there, but in a very different way. I used to be open about my life in a different way. I would say my level of vulnerability is the same in my eyes and in my core. I feel that. But again, it's different. It's like now on my podcast, I'm sharing more of the inner workings of my brain, whereas on YouTube, I was vulnerable in a much more surface level way, I would say. It felt more vulnerable though, because the things that I was talking about was maybe more embarrassing or shocking or loud. It was like the vulnerability was screaming in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas now I think my vulnerability is whispering a bit more, but I'm also protecting myself a bit more because I've learned that that's something I need for my own well-being. And so that's another thing. So
it's not like it's absent though. Like in the Met Gala again video, one of the most amazing scenes in that is when you're in the bathroom the night before and you're talking about your schedule the next day, and then you pull out the tampons and you start talking about just like the pale blue dress. And there is this like, I just really don't know how you deliver to a camera like that, because it really feels like, we hung out for half an hour or an hour before we started recording.
Yeah.
Like that is you.
Yeah.
I don't know how you are that real in front of a camera. I don't know if you've ever seen this clip, but we interviewed Mr. Beast and asked him about you.
Yeah.
And he was like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Like that is a different thing. And I really think you introduce that in a way that is, it's unparalleled. Like I haven't seen another person be able to be that themselves.
Thank
just
you.
by yourself in a room with a camera.
I don't know how, I don't know what it is. Like it's so weird to me because I think this is a complete conspiracy theory about Emma.
About yourself.
Great.
So here
I
we
love
go.
that.
Yeah.
I've noticed a lot of my friends growing up sort of put on almost a facade for their parents in a way. Understandably so. A lot of parents have unrealistic expectations, can be judgmental, can be control, like whatever. A lot of kids don't feel safe to like be themselves around their parents because parents, again, high expectations. And so there's a pressure to sort of pretend to be more of a picture perfect sort of person than you are. This is not everybody, but majority of my friends had that experience growing up. I didn't have that. I had such a unique environment growing up that I've wondered if showing my imperfections to my parents, and my parents were my first best friends. And I grew up in this environment where it was so safe to share anything.
Yeah.
It was so safe. So I've never had this, like, I almost feel more comfortable putting it all out on the table. I'm like a chronic oversharer in real life as well. And I have 2 drinks and it's actually like, and then it's really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I'm at the bar and like everyone knows about everything I've ever experienced in my life. It's bad. That happened to me 2 weekends ago and I have not had a drink since. But anyway, I feel more comfortable sharing everything almost and being so myself because it makes me feel like less of an imposter. I'm not afraid that people are later going to find out that I'm something else. It makes me feel, if everything's out on the table and they see everything, then nobody will turn on me. Like that's kind of how it
Let
works.
me ask you a
brain.
question from
Yeah.
a guy who's married to a therapist.
Yeah.
What is your relationship to rejection? Did you have a relationship with rejection growing up or even with validation? Because to me, that sounds like almost a fending off of rejection where it's like,
It is.
here's everything. So you can't even pick one thing and
Yes.
reject it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's interesting because I don't know. I think it started in middle school, high school. And I was always like somewhat in like the cool kid group, but I was always probably the least cool or considered the least cool by the kids, right? It's ruthless. And I was always a small child. I was small and I went through puberty super late and I think it came, this is so embarrassing and I don't know if this is what it is, but I think me always being the last choice for the boys ruined me. And it not really, it didn't ruin me, but it
informed.
It informed
Yeah.
me. It impacts all areas of my life. It's so fascinating that boys not choosing me, it like could have that profound of an impact.
I'd love to know,
I'd connect on
what's
that, for
what's
sure.
the difference between at that time when you're an open book to boys in your school and you're an open book to your parents in terms of the reaction,
Like the difference between,
like how they respond?
yeah, see, it's ironic too because it's always been polarizing, right? Some guys throughout my life, some guys are like, oh, obsessed, I get it. And they get it. And they're like, whoa. Some guys are like, have some class. Like, who are you? Like, they don't get it, which is fine. You know, like it's one or the other. It's never like, oh, friendship wise, it's great. Like, I think most people like friendship wise,
For sure.
Totally.
love an open book.
Of course.
But when it comes to dating, it's either love me or like hate me.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I was that also. Like I was last choice for the girls when I was growing up. And I asked that question because I find that people who choose to do this thing that we do, they have some relationship with either rejection or like looking to protect themselves or find validation in a space that they can control.
Oh, I'm also a control freak in a way that you've never. Yes. Yeah.
And it's because you were kind of, at least for me, I was kind of out of control of, I felt out of control of the way people perceived me or the way, you know, once you're in high school and you go I went from 7th grade to 12th grade with the same group of kids. Whatever happens
Yeah.
in 7th grade, you're locked in, right?
yeah.
You're locked in, right?
Yeah.
So that's just, you can't get out of that.
Yeah.
And so as a creative, when you recognize that you have the power to create, and in this era that we arrived in of you can actually create your own image, that became very attractive to anyone who had that experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I ask is like, I connect to you on that.
It's all there.
Yeah.
It's proof is in the pudding.
Right.
Yeah.